Lina's new apartment was perfect. Cheap rent, quiet neighbors, cozy atmosphere. Only one thing bothered her: the hallway mirror. It was bolted to the wall. She couldn't move it. The landlord had even warned her not to touch it. At first, she didn't think much of it. But then, she started noticing things. Sometimes, as she walked past, her reflection moved a second too slow. One night, she tested it. She waved her hand. Her reflection lagged. She frowned. Maybe she was just tired? A few days later, while fumbling for her keys, Lina heard a soft voice from behind the door across the hall.
Don't look at it too long.
Startled, he glanced over. The neighbor, a thin woman with tired eyes, was peeking through a crack in her door. "What?" Lina asked. The woman's voice dropped to a whisper.
After midnight, don't stand too close. It notices.
Before Lina could reply, the door slammed shut. That night, as she passed the mirror, she saw movement. But she hadn't moved. She turned quickly, staring at her reflection. It was smiling. She wasn't. Her heart pounded. She stepped back. But her reflection stayed in place. Then, slowly, it raised a hand and pressed it against the glass. A crack formed. Lina ran to her room, slamming the door shut. In the silence, she still heard it, tapping on the glass. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to calm her breath. Then, a whisper, right behind her.
You let me out.
The last thing she saw was her own reflection, standing behind her, still smiling. And from across the hall, silence. Her neighbor's door stood wide open, apartment empty. Only a single handprint smeared across the inside of her mirror. That was just one night. Wait till you hear what happened next week. Aya, a university student in Tokyo, often studied late into the night. One evening, she found herself rushing to catch the last train from Shinjuku Station to her apartment in Shibuya. The station was eerily quiet, the usual throngs of commuters long gone. As she boarded the nearly empty train, she noticed only a handful of passengers scattered throughout the car. She chose a seat near the door, the cold metal pole cool against her hand as she steadied herself. The train's fluorescent lights flickered intermittently, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. As the train departed, Aya felt a sudden chill, despite the car being sealed. She glanced around and noticed a man seated at the far end of the car. He wore a dark suit, his face obscured by the brim of his hat. Something about his stillness unsettled her. At the next station, an elderly woman boarded, her movements slow and deliberate. She took the seat directly across from Aya, clutching a worn leather handbag. The woman met Aya's gaze, her eyes filled with an unspoken sorrow.
You should be careful,
the woman whispered. Aya leaned in, puzzled. Excuse me?
Strange things happen on the last train,
the woman continued, her voice barely audible over the hum of the train. Before Aya could respond, the train's lights flickered again, plunging the car into brief darkness. When the lights returned, the man in the suit was suddenly seated 2 rows closer. Aya's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't seen him move. The elderly woman reached out, her cold hand gripping Aya's wrist.
Don't look at him.
She warned. Heart pounding, Aya turned her gaze to the floor, focusing on the scuffed tiles. The train sped through the dark tunnels, the stations passing in a blur. Without warning, the train screeched to an abrupt halt between stations. The lights dimmed, casting the car in a murky gloom. The air grew thick, oppressive. A chilling voice echoed through the car. Next stop, your final destination. Aya's eyes darted to the elderly woman, but her seat was empty, the handbag left behind. Panicking, Aya stood, gripping the pole for support. The man in the suit was now mere feet away, his face still hidden. Summoning her courage, Aya demanded, "Who are you?" The man slowly lifted his head, revealing a face identical to her own, but with hollow, lifeless eyes. Paralyzed with fear, Aya stumbled back as the train's doors hissed open, revealing a dark void beyond. A force pulled at her, dragging her toward the open doors. She grasped at the pole, the cold metal slipping from her sweaty palms. Just as she was about to be pulled into the abyss, a hand grabbed hers, yanking her back into the car. Gasping, Aya found herself back in her seat, the train moving smoothly toward Shibuya. The elderly woman sat across from her, the man in the suit nowhere to be seen.
Remember,
The woman said softly.
never ride the last train alone.
Liam's overnight flight was nearly empty. Perfect. He could sleep. As he settled into seat 21A, he noticed the passenger next to him in 21B, a young woman in a hooded sweatshirt facing the window. The flight took off. The attendants served drinks, but something felt wrong. Nobody acknowledged her. They walked past like she wasn't there. Mid-flight, turbulence rattled the plane. Liam gripped his armrest. That's when the girl finally moved. She turned slightly toward him. Her wrists were bound in zip ties. Liam's stomach dropped. Was she kidnapped? He whispered, "Are you okay?" No response. Then, she turned to face him completely. Her eyes were missing. Liam froze as a voice whispered into his ear.
You're in my seat.
The plane lurched violently. The lights flickered. When they came back on, seat 21B was empty. Just an unbuckled seatbelt. The flight attendant approached. "Sir, are you all right?" she asked. Liam pointed at the seat. "The girl, she was just here!" The attendant frowned. "Sir, there was never anyone in that seat."
Leo had just finished dinner when he heard a knock at the door. It was almost midnight, too late for visitors. Through the peephole, he saw a delivery man in a dark uniform, holding a small package. Leo opened the door a crack. "I didn't order anything." The man just smiled, too wide, and pushed the package into Leo's hands before walking away without a word. Leo felt uneasy. The package had no label, no return address, just his name, written in red ink. Inside, wrapped in crinkled paper, was an old VHS tape. He didn't own a VHS player, but curiosity nagged at him. The next day, he found one online. That night, he finally pressed play. The screen flickered. The video showed his apartment from the same angle as his living room camera. Leo's stomach dropped. The footage was from last night. It showed him asleep on the couch. The only light came from the blinking clock on the wall. 3:12 a.m. Then, the camera moved. Leo's breath caught. Someone else was in the room, holding the camera. A shadowy figure stepped closer to his sleeping body. The figure leaned in, too close. Then, the screen went black. A whisper crackled through the speakers.
I'm coming back tonight.
Leo's blood turned ice. Then, a knock at the door. Leo's heart pounded as he turned his head. Through the peephole, the delivery man was back, smiling, holding another package.
Lena always thought it was funny how the world felt different at 3 a.m. The air was still, too still, like the city itself was holding its breath. Tonight was no different. She sat in her dimly lit apartment, scrolling through her phone, half listening to the ticking clock. Then, she noticed something. Her notifications weren't updating. No new messages, no posts, no news. Her internet was fine, but there was nothing new, like the world had just stopped. Her stomach twisted. She checked her contacts. No one was online. Not one person. Not on social media. Not in her messages. Not even the random late-night strangers who always posted nonsense. Nothing. It was like everyone had disappeared. Lena stood up, heart pounding. She stepped onto her balcony, looking out at the city. Everything looked normal, except no headlights, no blinking signs, no movement in any of the buildings, not a single car driving by, not a single light turning on or off, not a single person. She reached for her phone again, hands shaking. She tried calling her best friend. She swallowed hard, called her mom. She hung up fast. Her pulse thundered. She opened her window, listened. Silence. Not even the hum of electricity. The whole world felt off, like she was the only one left. Then her breath hitched. A single new message from unknown. Go back to sleep, Lena. You're not supposed to be awake. Her hands turned ice cold. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. They're already looking for you. She wasn't alone. Slowly, she turned. The bedroom door, open wider than before. A shadow moved inside. Then,
You were the last one, Lena. Now we can begin.
The lights flickered. The world outside blinked out, and everything went dark.
The heart of Dublin, Ireland, nestled between cobblestone streets and historic buildings, stood the Hollow Hearth, a centuries-old pub known for its rich history and lively atmosphere. Ethan, an American tourist exploring the city, had heard tales of the pub's unique charm and decided to experience it firsthand. As he stepped inside, the scent of aged wood and hops enveloped him. The dim lighting cast a warm glow over patrons engaged in cheerful conversations. Ethan approached the bar, where the bartender, an elderly man with a thick Irish accent, greeted him.
Welcome to the Hollow Hearth.
"What'll it be?" "I'll have a pint of your finest stout," Ethan replied. As he sipped his drink, Ethan's attention was drawn to a secluded corner of the pub. A group of locals sat huddled together, their faces serious, speaking in hushed tones. Curiosity piqued. Ethan approached them. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. The group exchanged glances before an older man nodded.
Of course, I'm Seamus, and these are my friends. We're just sharing some local legends.
"Local legends?" Ethan's interest was piqued. Seamus leaned in.
Have you heard of the Vanishing Pint?
Ethan shook his head.
They say that on certain nights, a stranger will come into the Hollow Hearth and order a pint. As they drink, they'll notice the pub growing quieter, the patrons disappearing one by one. By the time they finish their pint, they're all alone. And when they step outside...
Seamus paused, his eyes darkening. "What happens then?" Ethan prompted.
They're never seen again.
Ethan chuckled nervously. "Sounds like a ghost story." Seamus's expression remained solemn.
Believe what you will, but many have vanished without a trace.
As the evening wore on, Ethan enjoyed several more pints, the warmth of the stout making him feel at ease. The pub was lively, filled with laughter and music. At midnight, Ethan noticed the atmosphere shifting. The chatter dulled, and one by one, patrons began to leave until he was the only one remaining. Even the bartender had disappeared. Perplexed, Ethan called out, "Hello?" Silence. He stood up, the creak of the wooden floor echoing in the emptiness. As he approached the door, it swung open on its own, revealing a dense fog outside. Stepping into the mist, Ethan found himself not on the familiar cobblestone streets of Dublin, but in a desolate landscape, the outlines of ancient ruins barely visible through the haze. Panic set in. He turned back to the pub, but it had vanished. A whisper carried through the fog.
Welcome to the legend.
Ethan's heart raced as shadowy figures emerged from the mist, their faces obscured. He realized, too late, that some legends
Are not just stories.
sat on his couch, staring at his phone. One unread message. It was from Daniel. Ethan's fingers went cold. Daniel had been dead for 3 days. His hands shook as he opened the message. Open the door. Ethan's breath turned shallow. He glanced at the door. Nobody was supposed to be there. He typed back, hands unsteady. Who is this? Delivered, seen, typing. Ethan's stomach twisted. A new message popped up. It's me. Please, Ethan, open the door. Ethan flinched. The knocks were soft. Too soft. Like whoever was outside already knew he was there. He forced himself to his feet. Slowly, he crept toward the door. He placed his eye against the peephole. Nothing. Just the empty hallway. But his phone buzzed again. A picture message. Ethan's breath hitched. It was a live photo of his door, taken from the other side. His body stiffened. His mouth went dry. Then, another message. Don't open it. Ethan's blood ran cold. The same number. Daniel's number. Whatever is outside, it's not me. His breath came fast and uneven. His hands hovered over his phone, his heart hammering against his ribs. Then, another message. It knows you're reading this. Knock, knock, knock. Harder now. Faster. Ethan stepped back. The phone vibrated in his hand. Another picture message. This time, his vision blurred, because the photo showed the peephole, and in it, a single bloodshot eye stared back, directly at him. Ethan stumbled back, nearly dropping his phone. The knocking stopped. Silence. His phone buzzed one last time. A final message. You should have opened it. Then, the lights went out, and from the darkness behind him, something exhaled.
Adam first noticed it when walking home late one night. His shadow, stretched long under the streetlights, seemed off. At first, it was just a feeling, something subtle. But then, as he turned a corner, his shadow didn't. His breath caught. He looked behind him. The streetlights still glowed. He should have a shadow, but he didn't. Instead, there was a shadow standing in the middle of the street. A human-shaped shadow, with no one casting it. Took a step forward. The shadow took a step too. He took another step. So did it. But here's the thing. Its footsteps made a sound. A soft tap, 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 even though it wasn't supposed to be real. Adam's stomach twisted. He ran. He reached his apartment, slamming the door shut. Locked it. Panting, he pressed his back against the door. Silence. He exhaled shakily, laughing under his breath. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe he imagined it. Then, you forgot something. Adam's blood ran cold. His body stiffened. Slowly, he turned. Nothing was there. Just his dimly lit living room. Then he noticed. The hallway light was on, and his shadow was standing there. Not on the wall, not on the floor, but standing. Like it had peeled itself away from him. Like it was waiting. Then, his shadow took a step forward. Adam backed away, heart hammering in his chest. Another step. It was getting closer. Another step. It wasn't mimicking him anymore. It was moving on its own. And then, it whispered.
Where do you think you're going?
Adam's vision blurred. He tried to scream, but his voice didn't come out. Then, his shadow did something impossible. It smiled and stepped into him. Pain shot through Adam's chest. His vision flickered like a dying light bulb. And then, everything went dark.
It was late. Too late for Ria to still be walking home alone, but the last bus never came. She pulled her jacket tighter, quickening her pace. The streetlights above flickered. The road ahead was empty. Then, another set of footsteps. Not behind her, not ahead. Beside her, she froze. The sound stopped. Her breath hitched. She turned her head slowly. Nothing. Just the empty sidewalk stretching into the dark. Her skin prickled. She wasn't alone. Swallowing hard, she started walking again. Her heart pounded. She walked faster. The extra footsteps kept up. She ran. The footsteps beside her ran too. But she couldn't see anyone. She turned a corner sharply, darting into a dimly lit alley. Silence. For a moment, she thought it was over. Then, a cold, rasping whisper. "Why are you running?" Her blood ran cold. She turned and stared at herself. Her own reflection standing in the alley. Except, it wasn't her. Her double stood too still. Its eyes were just a little too wide. It grinned. The streetlight flickered, and then Ria was alone again. Or maybe she wasn't.
Stay spooked. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling stories.